Hello, how are you? I just wanted to start out today before I did anything and just wanted to thank everybody, thank the co-creators Convergence for asking me to be a part of the art section in the Unity and Peace Week. And I am very humbled and very honored to have been asked to be a part of this and to basically tell you my story and do some creating with people. So today I am going to be doing a presentation on basically taking you into my world and just showing you like what it is that I do and how I create it and all of that stuff and the story behind it. So before I get started in the presentation part today, I just wanted to tell you, I just need to introduce myself, who I am and all of that. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story, about how I got to where I am today. And so my name is Nicole, and I call myself the Daughter of Light. And I'm a multidimensional intuitive artist and a sculptor. And I'm a way shower of freedom, and I also host I host shows like inspiring conversations, and I teach people by example through my video blogs that I do on the Shine Your Light Network with Nicole. And so if you're ever interested in hearing more about what I do and what I create and all that kind of stuff, go ahead and check out my page on Facebook. It's called Shine Your Light Network with Nicole. And I also have a YouTube page that's called Shine Your Light Network. And then you can also find me on my website, which is called CALM, CALM, artstudio.com. And if you want to see everything, I put up everything that I do on the Shine Your Light Network inside my website. So if you can't find it anyplace else and you come into my website, you'll find it in there. And I regularly put up all my blogs and I call them vlogs, my video blogs. And I regularly put up all of my shows and all of my interviews that I do. So you can be part of that. And then another way to get a hold of me is through a group that I run. It's called the New Earth Ascending Community. And in that group, it's very interactive, and we have plenty of ways for people to shine their light and to share whoever they are, because I have this big, huge belief that everybody has a special gift and nobody has the same gift. We all have something to share to the world, and in this group everybody gets a chance to share whatever it is that they do. And we have a lot of interactive rooms where people can go into, and you can go to attend workshops and attend just kind of community. It's like a video chat room where you can go in and you can talk about all kinds of things as far as ascension and how to like learn new tools and all kinds of things like that. So if you're interested in becoming active in this group, all you have to do is sign up to it and join it in the Facebook groups. And so it's called New Earth Ascending Community. So go on over and check that out if you're interested in being part of that. And you'll find me on there too, because I'm an admin and I created the group. So that's all the technical details out of the way, so I could let you know what was happening. Okay, so I'm gonna go a little bit farther back. I wanna go back to who I am. So my name is Nicole, and Nicole Elger is my maiden name. And I grew up in a small town in upstate New York. And I was a very happy child. And I kind of lived a little bit in a different world, so to speak. I was not like all the other children. I had that whole magical world going on inside of me, and I grew up in a very strict Methodist. My parents were my mom especially was very strict Methodist, and we attended church regularly and all of that. And so I spent a lot of my years in the Methodist church and the youth groups and all of that, and I did missionary work and all that when I was younger. And then when I got into my 20s, I started questioning some things and around religions, not about like spirituality, but I started questioning religions. And then I went on a time where I tried out all different kinds of religious organizations to try to see where I fit in. And then every time that I would go to these places and try these places out, I would always come back to, there were these like restrictions in there, rules and regulations that just didn't feel right. Just didn't feel right at all. So I then went on and I just started teaching myself, and I just started learning through books. And I would go to the bookstore and I would find different books that I was interested in. And at the beginning I used to get books and I would read all about angels and that. And then I went through a time where I was obsessed with near-death experiences, and I read a lot of books on people that had near-death experiences, and that helped me get over my fear of death. And so I think it was an important part that I needed to do, because I knew, like, if people were having these experiences, that there had to be something after you died. And so and then I went on to, I did a lot of work with Neil Donald Walsh. I read all of the Conversations of God, and then I also did like the Celestine Prophecy and all kinds of things. That was back in the 90s. And then in 2000, and so like during that time, I started branching out, and I started seeking inner guidance and learning how to meditate and all of that kind of thing. And all the way up throughout this whole time, when I was in school, I was highly I had a lot of artistic talent, and like I would be winning all kinds of awards all the time in art. And I got to spend a summer in my 10th grade. I got to spend a summer at the NISA, which is the New York State Summer School of the Arts program. And when I was there, I took a course on ceramics, and I just totally and completely fell in love with ceramics. And that was when the passion started, and when I started doing that. And then I went on with my life, and went into the world, and I spent a few years working in factories and stuff like that. And then I got to the point where I wasn't happy with what I was doing, and I really, really wanted to do my art. And so I went back, and I had gone to a therapist, and she told me, you really need to find out what it is that you love, like what makes your heart sing, and what is it that you want to get up to do in the morning. And I thought about that, and what it was my ceramics. It was what made me happy, what made my heart sing. And so I decided to go back and take a course and get into ceramics, just to use the clay and the kiln and everything. And after that, I was hooked, and I was like, okay, this is what I love to do. And I didn't really know at that time what I was doing or what I was meant to do with my art. It's just I needed to do it. And so my ex-husband at the time, he was from Ireland, and it was after the time of 9/11, and he proposed to me, why don't we move to Ireland, because he had a house that was there that was empty. and why don't we sell our house and everything and move to Ireland and start out a whole new life? And so I did. We sold the house and everything, and I took my money from my 401k that I was working in the job, and when I got to Ireland, I bought all my equipment to do ceramics. I bought my kiln and all the different things that you need to like create in ceramics, and I set myself up so that I could do what I loved. And then I went through a time where we ended up separating, and I had been doing a lot of inner work at that time, and I had been reading the Neale Donald Walsh Conversations with God, and there was a statement that he put in there about being in the room with somebody. Like we're always trying to be in the room with somebody, just because we think we can't be alone and stuff like that. And that gave me the strength to be able to say, okay, like this marriage isn't working, and I'm not just gonna sit out and sit in the room with somebody that doesn't want to be in the room with me. And so I set off to do my life, and then I'm just trying to get back to, okay, so then time went on, and I'm in a new relationship. I have a new person, and I have a new child. I had a son from that marriage, and then I have a son from this one. And time has gone by, and it's been about 15 years. And during that time, I still delved into like my spirituality and learning and stuff. And at one stage, I got interested in life between lives, and I got interested in Dolores Cannon and the work that she has done with QHHT. And I wanted to know like what was my purpose, and what was I here, what was I put onto this earth for. And so in 2018, I went to this QHHT session that I had, and I had a whole list of questions about what is my purpose, what am I here to do, and all of that. And one of the things that I asked was like, I have this talent for art, and I'm creating and I'm doing all these things with it, but what am I meant to do to help the world? To help the world, because I always have had this, I wanted to make the world a better place to live in. And even as a child, I used to sing in the choir, and we used to sing this song, making the world a better place to live in. And I used to love that song. I used to love whenever we would sing that in church. And it's kind of been my motto. I'm like a way shower of freedom, and I want to make the world a better place. And I just couldn't figure out what my art had to do with making the world a better place, because I felt like I was making pretty things, but I didn't really feel like I was doing anything to make the world a better place. And so one of my questions that I asked my higher self when I went into this session was, what is my purpose, and what is my purpose with my art? Because I would like to know, I would like to have more of a purpose other than just creating and making pretty things. And that's when I was told by my higher self that I am an activator. I came to Earth in this lifetime to become an activator for the Earth's ascension. And what that means is that I'm here to activate people, to wake people up, and to help people along the way as they raise their vibration. And I am to do this through my artwork. I do it through my artwork, and I also work with crystals, and I'm to be teach like that. And so I'm going to show you today the artwork, and I just wanted to tell you the story behind the artwork, and that'll kind of go along with and then I also do the crystal work, and I'm getting ready to start teaching. I'm writing a little bit of information that's been coming through, and I'm starting to teach about how to work with crystals and Lemurian crystals and all about all of that stuff. And so in the future, hopefully there'll be more information around this about what is coming through. But at the moment, I know when I learned in there that I was an activator for the Earth's ascension, and they wanted me to do it through my artwork. And they told me that my artwork has keys and codes in it, light-coded codes in them. And so that when somebody views the artwork, then they automatically get activated with keys and codes to help raise their vibration. And I didn't know that that's what I was doing. So then when I was done with that appointment, I realized I am doing something to make the world a better place. And so then I delved into just keep creating. And I was told that that I had been doing this all along without even knowing it, and that I've been working with different collectives and different beings, and that's how it's like a multi-dimensional world that I'm creating around me. And so I'm going to go in and I'm going to start telling you now the story about, I'm going to go step by step into the story about the creations that I made and how that all started. So the first thing that I did was I started creating, after I bought my kiln and all my equipment and everything, I started creating a series of sculptures, and I called them the Fairies in the Garden sculptures. And they were all whimsical and magical, and I'm going to show you some video. I'm going to put them in the video in a second and show you about the fairies in the garden. But I didn't know at the time that I was creating something to help make the world a better place. I didn't know that they had keys and codes in them. All I knew, because I remember the curator, the gallery owner, I remember him asking me when I went there, he said to me, he said, what is it that inspires you to create these pieces, because they're so colorful and they're so magical? And he just wanted to know, what was it that I was trying to do? And at that time, I didn't really know, other than I said, I feel like when somebody looks at these and somebody views them, that it makes them happy, and it makes them feel like, it just, because we were living in a time where we have all kinds of horrible things going on, and people are just walking around, and it's not fun. There's an awful lot of depression and anxiety and all kinds of things happening in our world. And my only wish was that when someone would view my pieces, that it would make them happy. It would help light them up, and they would give them a chance to stop and smell the flowers for a minute, and enjoy it and take in the magic, and show them that there is magic in the world. And so that's what I said as my answer. So I'm going to show you now what the Fairies in the Garden collection was. Okay, so this is my first piece. That's the only piece that I have left from the Fairies in the Garden collection. There was over 20 pieces of them, and they were all like this. They had different color schemes, but they were all like this. They have basically all had fairies playing. This one is called Circle of Friends, and I kept this one for myself. And every single one of these sculptures had some sort of, they all had flowers and stuff on them, but they all had this kind of thing. I don't even know what this is. I think it's coming from a different world. And I believe that it's just an elemental world is where they're coming from. And they all were different sizes, and they're all gone except for this one. And I am just getting ready to start up a whole new collection. They're not necessarily going to be called Fairies in the Garden, but they're an elemental collection. And I have a piece here that I just started creating. This one is this one is from Terra. I don't know if anybody knows Terra Hill in Ireland. And I went last year to do some grid work and to help open up, there was a well there that was kind of dry, and I was basically told to take an Andara crystal and place it into the well, and that I would be bringing in multi-dimensional water, crystalline water, back into the earth, and that it would flow out of this and go down into the waterways, and it would help with the raising of the vibration of the planet. And when I was there, I had a vision of making a little sculpture to represent the whole area and the place. And so the well was something very similar to this. It was down inside, like down, you had to kind of walk down into this area. And the day that we were there, I was pulling some cards, and this elemental, which I call Oliver, he told us that he was going to be the keeper of the well, and that he would make sure that the well would be safe after we left, because there's a lot of tourists and things going around there. And so this is Oliver back here, and this isn't painted or glazed yet. And then there was a tree standing there. It was an ash tree, and I turned the tree into this fella. His name is Ash. And then there was another tree on this side, and it was a hawthorn tree, which is like a fairy tree. And I turned him. This is the hawthorn tree right here, and there's all kinds of little things happening in here. And then eventually, this piece is going to be glazed, and then I'm going to put glass in here and all along the bottom here for the water, so it'll fuse into there, and it'll look like water when it's all finished. And then I did a series of little elemental fellas, and these are the small ones that I did, and I've made a few larger pieces as well, and I just do these for fun. This one is just a planter, and this one he has a name. This is called Little Jeff. And I'm gonna take you into my house, and I'm gonna show you the larger Jeff, and I'm gonna do that now, and then I'm gonna take you over outside, and I'm gonna show you Stanley, who is the guy that's the mascot. So this is Jeff. He is a kind of a life-size elemental. He's the largest piece I've made so far. And he was designed as a lamp. As you can see, he's turned on, the ball at the top is a lamp. And Jeff was made as a gift for my husband one year for Christmas. And he's just become part of our family. So this is the fella that whenever I say Jeff, that's him. And then little Jeff is in the studio. So we came out here just to show you Jeff. So this is Stanley, and he stands about 3 foot tall, and he holds flowers, and he's a little bit broken at the moment, but around his nose area. He's been outside for about 2 years, I think. And he used to stand up at the sign at our Clay Fun studio before the COVID, but I brought him down here to in front of the studio, and because I wanted to enjoy his flowers that he had. He had some beautiful pink flowers coming out of him. So that's Stanley. Now that you've had a chance to see the Fairies in the Garden collection, I just wanted to let you know that those were pieces that I've made. I made those back in 2015, and there isn't any more that exists anymore of those. But if you're interested in wanting to have one of those magical Fairies in the Garden sculptures, I will always be available to make some new ones on commission. And I am getting ready to make a new collection. There'll be one-off collection with the elemental work that I'm going to be doing, like the one that I just showed you with the well at the well in Terra. And so I'll be making many more magical pieces like that. So be on the lookout for the new pieces that are coming through. And if you're interested in any of the elemental tree people that I make, those will also be done. I will make them when someone wants one, like basically commission based. And I'm also going to tell you about the other thing that I've been creating, and these are also one-off pieces that are commission based as well. So if you're interested in what I'm going to be showing you next, I just want you to know that if you want to get your hands on one of them, you just need to let me know, and through private message or something like that, or email or whatever, if you're interested in having one. So before I start showing you the next bit of things that I've been creating, I just want to tell you the story behind how they started happening. I am highly interested in crystals, and I went to a crystal workshop back, I think in 2017, and I wanted to learn all about crystals, because I've always had a love for crystals and collecting them and all that kind of thing, but I just never knew like how to use them and what you can do with crystals. And one thing that I learned when I was at the workshop that I went to was that you can grid with crystals to help manifest, to help you in your life, to help manifest things. And the lady at the workshop sent us off with these laminated pieces of paper that were grids, and we could put our crystals on them. And there were different kinds of ones. The ones that I was seeing was like the flower of life and sacred geometry kind of grids. And so I went off and I started putting my crystals on these pieces of paper, and it just didn't do it for me. Being like a ceramic artist, I just wanted something more pretty, something more that I could, something more sturdy, something made out of clay that I could use as a crystal grid to put my crystals on. So I got this idea while I was sleeping at nighttime to make a crystal grid. And then I woke up and I started designing, and I was using the flower of life, and I made this, and I just made it as a present for myself, and I didn't really think anything more about it. And then I decided, when I started running my Lemurian crystal workshops, I decided I would love to make a centerpiece for the altar when we're working with the crystals. And so I made a spherical lamp, and I used sacred geometry on it, and it's a lamp, but it also holds the crystals, so it's like a crystal grid as well. And I just made it for myself, and I didn't really think anybody would be interested in them. And then last year some people were looking at them and they were like, oh, I would love to commission one of those. And so now I am commissioning, if people would like to have a piece of, like, have a table lamp or a crystal grid, but they're all commission based. And so I just wanted you to know that before I started showing you the crystal grid and the lamp, I just wanted to let you know that they are available. If you would like one, you just have to let me know about it. Okay? And so now I'm going to take you over into a different view of the camera, and I'm going to show you the crystal grids. Okay, so this is the crystal grid. I'm putting my hand here so you can kind of get an idea as to the size of the grid. And this is all made out of ceramics, and it's the flower of life. It's the flower of life design that I have created. And basically you can take the crystals out, and you can grid your crystals inside of here. And just take my hand off. And so I'm just going to pick this up so you can get a side view of what it looks like on the side. So this is what it's like on the side. So, and I am making these for people if they want to, and they can come in their own colors or whatever they choose. So that is the crystal grid. And then the crystal lamp, I'm going to put the crystals back here. And then the crystal lamp is right here. This is my baby. Now this also has the ball on the top, the ceramic sphere. That comes off and there's a light bulb inside, and so it holds it. And so the top ball is all sacred geometry, and I'm using the flower of life pattern. And these also hold crystals. I don't have a big crystal to put up in here, but you can put crystals here, and then you can put crystals on the outer side of these as well. And then the actual base is the Merkaba. And I think what I'll do is I'm going to turn the lamp off so that you can see what it looks like without the lights. And so this comes up, and then I'm going to go over the top of it so you can see the bottom is in the shape of a Merkaba. And then so it's a grid and it's a sacred geometry lamp, and they work really nice as a table lamp, and they're really pretty. And at nighttime, the holes that are inside, these little holes that are inside here, they shine out, and it puts a whole pattern on your wall and on your ceiling at nighttime. And I have been being shown some different designs and some new grids I'm going to be making that they'll be showing me, and they'll be different. They'll have different patterns. Like this is definitely the flower of life pattern, and I'm going to be doing some different ones. I'm going to be using the dragon power symbol and some different other symbols and things like that, and using them for crystal grids. So that's the story around the crystal grids. So now I'm going to tell you the story around the tiles that I create and how that all started. These tiles are what I was doing. I had started doing these before I knew what I was doing with them, and I just started creating tiles like that I had through visions and things like that. And then it became where I would be swimming or in meditation or sometimes sleeping, and I would be given a vision, or I guess you would call it a vision, of what to create next. And they would kind of show me in my mind's eye what to create. And when I say they, I'm talking about my spirit guides. And I haven't gone on to part of the story about when I was in the QHHT session, I learned that my higher self is where I'm getting this information from. I'm calling them they. It's very confusing. They are my spirit guides, and my higher self is part of that. And they consist of angels and ascended masters, and I have a few galactic guides, and I have I know that I'm working with Merlin as well, and I'm also working with the Council of Nine and the whole works. The elementals, as you can see, I work a lot with the elementals, and I've worked with them for a long time. And so I think it's, when I say they, it's my team, it's my guides. They show me. And what I was told was, because I had been a little bit worried as far as what am I supposed to do and how am I supposed to survive, making these creations. And I was told that I didn't need to worry, that as long as I did what they showed me and followed through, then they would send me assistance as to how to get them to the people that needed them, because I was told that all of these pieces that I make are meant to be out there in the world, that people are meant to be using them and having them in their homes and having them places so that they can be activated. And I didn't really know how I was supposed to accomplish getting them out there, because it's easy for me to make them. It comes easy. As far as like getting them out to the world, that's the harder part, because I'm not a marketing woman and that is not my strength. And so I was told that I didn't need to worry about that, that they would send me the people that would help me when the time was ready. And so I've been working on a series of tiles that I am making, and these tiles are I make more than one of them. So for instance, I just wanted to go through the process as far as how, so basically I'll be given a vision and I'll be shown what to create. And then I get the clay out, and because everything I make out of clay. So I get the clay out and I be kind of rolling it out and doing all my sculpting and getting it to look the way that I was being shown. And then when I'm done with that, so that I don't have to redesign each tile over and over and over again, I was shown that, you know, you can make your life easy. We make a mold of it. And so my husband is actually a mold maker as well. He's an artist and a sculptor of his own right, and he is a mold maker, and he worked for molding companies and different things like this. And so when I came to him and I said, listen, I've got to figure out a better way so that I don't have to make these every single time. And then there was issues with like firing them in a kiln, because there's all kinds of issues with warping and cracking and all kinds of stuff that will happen with them inside the kiln process. And so I wanted to kind of like steer away from that. And so so whenever I make a piece, it goes into the molding process. So I make it and then I send it over to Timmy and Timmy makes a rubber mold of the piece. And then the rubber mold is then there for me to use. And then when Timmy or myself will cast, he's showed me how to do it. It's like all his processes, and he showed me how to use them, so I have to give him credit. He showed me how to make them. So I use this mixture. It's called alabaster, and it's a form of plaster, and they use it for like decorative moldings and stuff like that. And this is really good because I can actually pour them. I can pour this, I can put them into the mold, and then I can make multiples of these. And this way I don't have to put everything through the kiln and fire it. And also with the glazes don't let you, I don't know if anybody has any knowledge of glazes, but glazes kind of like they go on and they do their own thing. And I needed to be able to control more, and so I hand paint them all with acrylics, and then I have layers of like varnishes and finishing glazed things that go over the top of them, and so that I could get the layers in the way I want them. And so what I've been told is that the light codes work through the colors and the layers in the way that I paint them. And when I'm painting them, I'll usually do a group at once. So like I'll make all of one kind, and they have to go through a drawing process. And then I might sit down and say, okay, I'm going to do the unicorn one today, and I'll do a series. So I might have like 2 big ones that I might be painting on the time, and then I have a series of smaller ones that I'll be creating. And so they're all hand painted. But they have a difference, because like they won't all be the same as far as, because when I'm painting, I'll be painting on different days, and it can all go by the mood that I'm in and everything. So they all pretty much are the same, except for they're different because the paint is never going to be the same, no matter how many times you try to make it exactly the same. And then I was shown, you know, like the larger tiles, which you can see in the back behind me. These are the tiles, and they come in, we have Timmy, my partner, he makes me the frames, and they come in, you can buy them framed, or you can buy them without the frame and put them on like a little easel and put them on your table or whatever. But I was shown that these all have like keys and codes inside of them, and they're light coded, and they're meant to help activate people. And not everybody can afford to buy a larger piece of artwork. And so I was trying to come up with a way to do this. Well, it's not like you can take a print of them like a normal like piece of work on canvas, because they're three-dimensional, and they have, that's part of the codes, is the texture and all of that. And so my husband, Timmy was making his own artwork, and he started making these little miniatures of his artwork, and I thought, that's how I can do it. I can make smaller ones, little miniatures. And so what I've done is I've come up with little miniature pieces. These are the minis. I just have them in my hand to show you, and they are the same as the one, see, I'll put it up next to the one that's up on the wall behind me. They're the same as the one up on the wall, except for it's a miniature version. They all have the same keys and codes, and then everybody can afford them, and everybody's happy. And this way, everybody can have them. And so these guys come just by themselves. I don't offer them framed or anything. You can buy a frame and put them in one if you want one afterwards. But so I always have these available. And so here's another one. This is a smaller version of the one that's up on the top behind me. And so this is a smaller version of that. And so that's how those are what I create, and that is the tiles. And so I would like to go in and tell you a little bit more about the tiles and each one, and I thought it would be fun to go around to the different tiles and tell you the story behind the tiles, and maybe what the vision was that I saw and all of that, so that you can get a more it'd be a little more interactive instead of you just sitting here watching me talk to you. So I'm going to turn the camera around now, and I am going to go around to each individual piece, and I'm going to tell you the story behind them. Okay, so this first piece is the very first one that I made, and it's called Dancing Orbs. And basically, this piece, I was shown a vision of a woman dancing in the night sky with a whole bunch of orbs all around her. And I was shown that she was dancing under a weeping willow tree. But this weeping willow tree was kind of magical, and it was shiny, and it was purple and silver, and it was just absolutely a magical tree. And she was dancing underneath it. And so that's the story behind that piece. And I call it the Dancing Orbs. And I made this one is called Meditation Vortex. And this one is basically a woman looking down a tunnel. And I was given a vision of her just kind of looking into, it's almost like you've got the night sky, and this piece could be interpreted in a couple different ways. It could be that she's looking, maybe having a near-death experience, and she's looking down the tunnel that you would go down, or maybe possibly this is just a vision of her looking into a different dimension. So we don't know what. This piece is called New Earth, and this piece I created when my arm was broken, and afterwards it just didn't do it for me. And so one day I came out and I re-sculpted it again, and this is what came through. The other piece didn't have as much energy inside of it, and this one just has so much more energy inside of it. And this is bringing in the feminine into the new age, and it's the new earth. She's basically holding up the new earth, and there are keys and codes inside of this piece. And this piece does not come in the smaller version. I tried making it in the smaller version like 3 times, and I just can't get the energy right inside the piece. And so therefore I've decided that this is one of those pieces that's just always going to be the large size. And unfortunately I'm not able to make this in the smaller size. But this piece is called transcrystallization. I don't even know if it's a word. It's a word that I made up. I was in the steam room, and I was given a vision of this exact image that you see right here. It was a woman that was all lit up inside of a crystal cave, and she was sitting on a bed of crystals, and she was just sitting there in the position. There was a crystal hovering up above her that was in the shape of an orb, and she was just taking in the keys and the codes. I have a feeling she was aligning to the chakras. This piece is called Holding the Light, and this is the first of the 2 pieces that I've made, that I've actually made for a person, for their frequency. So basically I told you earlier that I had QHHT session, and then afterwards I went and I had this session that was very similar to that, and it was called QShe. And there was a lady in Canada, her name was Eva, and she was taking a course, getting her credentials to do this QShe that she was doing, and she was looking for volunteers to for her to work with while she was getting her certificate. And I was one of the first ones that she had for a remote, because I'm in Ireland, and so I wanted to give back something to her. And I knew that there was a piece of my artwork that was meant to go to her, but I just didn't know what piece was meant to go to her. And I was getting this feeling that there was a new piece that was going to be created just for her. And so I went one night and I was listening to her, and she does a little bit of channeling inside of her sessions. When she goes, Susan Bertolis will do a session and takes her in, and then Eva will channel inside of it. And I was listening to her session, and she was channeling the Elohim, and they were explaining how she is a light worker, and that her job on this earth is to hold the light, but not only hold the light, to spread the light around to other light workers. And when I was all of a sudden, when I was watching it, I got this vision, which is exactly what's in front of you. It was these light beings, and they were kind of roaming around in like energy, and there was a source in the middle, and they were holding this light, and they were just, by what they're doing, they were holding and spreading the light back and forth to each other. And so this piece is called Sound Bath, and I was given this vision while I was doing a sound bath. There was a local lady that lives in my area, and she was running these sound bath meditations where we would go in, and I think it was every Tuesday night, I would go and I would attend one of these sound baths, and we would take our yoga mats and our pillows and our blankets, and we would lay down in this lovely, beautiful room that she had us in. And she had all these like sound instruments. She had the crystal bowls. She had these gong things and these chime things. I don't even know what they're called. And she would take us on a sound journey, a meditation. And then at the end, she would do a shamanic drumming session where we would go on a shamanic journey, and that really was like what opened me up. And in this piece, basically before I actually created this piece, I had a vision during one of the times that I was doing a sound bath to create this piece. And this piece just has so many keys and codes in it, and it's all around music and the vibration of the planet, because the planet runs the vibration. We are all run by the frequency of sound. And as we come into the new, like at the moment, I can't remember, I'm not all that knowledgeable on the sound as far as like the pitch or whatever, but I do know that the frequency from 3D is going to be changing as it moves to 5D and 60 and 70 kind of higher. And so the frequency is going to be changing. And this piece in here, I think it eventually will be running, the earth will be running on a G. I think it's at an F sharp at the moment, and it'll be going to G. And that's the vibration, the frequency that we'll be running on when we get to the new age. And so this is the piece called Sound Baths, and this one also comes in a miniature. And this is just a colorful, I just love this piece. It's so different from the other ones that I've created. This piece is called Weve Got You, and this is basically just a piece where you see that there's a guardian angel holding up the girl that's on a swing, and there's a cloud that's the shape of the hand. And so basically she's being told, the girl on the swing is being told, let go and know that it's okay to shine your light. And don't worry, if you fall, we'll catch you. This piece also comes in the smaller version. Now this piece is called Dragon Guide, and it is one of my favorite pieces. I love this piece. It is one of my favorites. So basically what happened when this piece came about was I was in the sauna when I was being shown this piece, and a lot of my visions and stuff come through when I'm in the swimming pool and when I'm swimming, or when I'm in the steam room or the sauna, and this piece just happened to come through. And what was happening before this piece came through was I had been working with an Indara and a Lemurian crystal, and I was being shown how to start spinning my Merkaba so that I could start interdimensionally traveling into other universes, to relearn things that I learned at different times when I was in different parts of the universe, to relearn some things that are going to be needed for me to go forward into the new age, and some healing techniques and things like that. And I was a bit apprehensive about using this Merkaba, about spinning it, and about traveling. I had been astral traveling for a very long time in my dream time, but I had never done it when I was awake. And so there was a little bit of fear that I had around this. I was kind of worried, like, what would happen if I traveled in my Merkaba and I was out of body and I couldn't come back in, or there was a little bit of apprehension going on about what I was being directed and what I was being guided to do. And so I was in a meditation in the sauna, and I had the crystals with me, and I basically asked my guides, I said, could you please help me with this, because I want to be able to do this, and I just need to kind of figure out or work my way out of this whole thing of not, like, what am I meant to do? And so I started getting a vision of a dragon hovering over me, just like the one that's in this painting. And he explained to me that his name was Crayon. I don't know if this was his name. Later on, after I saw this, I had been reading a book called Beyond Doorways, and I was learning about my Chiron wounding. And my Chiron wounding just so happens to be a wounding in Aries, and the power symbol, the power animal, just so happens to be a hummingbird and a dragon. And so the dragon comes in a lot with my wounding, and the dragon helps with me to embrace my fears and help me with my wounding. So I don't know if they were telling me my name, or the name of the dragon, or if it was that they wanted me to know that this was for my wounding, the Chiron wounding. So what this dragon showed me was that if I wanted to start interdimensionally traveling, I could connect with him, my energy into him, and then he would make sure that I was protected as we went on, and I could basically ride the dragon and everything. So it was like the movie Avatar, where they take their hair and they stick it into the tail. It's either a tail or a hair, I don't know what it is. They stick that into the animal, and then it becomes, they're melded with it. And so what they were showing me was, see the energy that's coming up in here? This is my energy, and it's me visualizing my energy going into the dragon and connecting with the dragon and connecting with the dragon guide. So this is a very special piece, and this one is also available in the smaller version as well. This is the second one, called Moonbeams, and basically I was just shown a woman that was standing in front of the moon, and there's a series of rose petals that are falling from the sky all around her, and they kind of circle at her like in a pattern, like a DNA pattern going around her. And so when someone looks at this, they get the keys and the codes that they need, and each person gets whatever they're meant to get out of it, and people will get different keys and codes depending upon whatever it is that they need. And so this one also comes in, it has a miniature. Not all of the pieces that I make have a miniature, so I'll just let you know if they have a miniature. And the Dancing Orbs has a miniature piece as well. So that is the Moonbeam piece. This piece is called Flying Dreams, and this is just a magical piece. I have a guide that's called Unicorn Jasmine, and so it kind of is a representative of me riding on Unicorn Jasmine and going into other worlds. And she is one of my guides, and I was just guided to make this piece. And this piece has tons of keys and codes inside of it. And what was I trying to say? It also comes into the smaller version as well. And so if you enjoyed this presentation and you want to know more about what it is I do, or follow along with me as I go on and I create more pieces and more artwork out there. Keep an eye on my website. It's called Calm, CALM artstudio.com. And then also you can follow me on the Shine Your Light Network with Nicole. So I hope you really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed it, and I hope to hear from you in the future.